Cue dramatic music. Dum-dum.
For hours, the Shimokage had crept up on the plodding merchant ship out of Earthquake Fish Bay. She kept on a course that didn't quite parallel the crab vessel and kept her sails reefed just so, conveniently keeping any symbols on the cloth hidden from sight. To the merchant ship, the Shimokage must have appeared as just another trading vessel heading for the islands of silk and spice.
Are you enjoying yourself?
Kai asked as he leaned up against the ship's gunwales. Hanging off over the blue-green foam, a single firm grip on the stays, the only thing keeping her from plunging into the depths, Shio glanced back from the horizon with the guileless expression of a child.
Whatever do you mean, Kai-san?
Kai snorted.
Come on, Captain. I've been watching you work ever so casually to windward of that Kobutogani there all morning.
He nodded dismissively towards the crab ship on the horizon. Shio gave the other vessel another look, then pulled herself to board with a casual tug on the stays. She landed firm-footed and slightly crouched on the heaving deck, then straightened into the bow-legged swagger natural to any true sailor. Ignoring Kai, she walked to the edge of the quarterdeck. The rest of the Shimokage stretched out before her, and she gave it and her crew a casual once-over.
I'm just taking us where the winds are.
We practically have Tamon breathing down our necks now,
Kai said.
Any further north, and we'll miss Toshi Inazuma by a league or more.
As if my navigator would let that happen.
Shio chuckled.
I'd wager you could tell me how many li to Otosanuchi if I asked.
It isn't seemingly for a captain to make money from her crew.
The two stood in comradely silence for a long moment. Then Kai spoke again.
You know that Yoritomo has forbidden us from raiding crab ships.
Shio nodded.
I was at the assembly last month, as were you.
Something about a plan of his. Be free to pluck any cranes you find on open water,
he said.
But leave the crab be. Now is not the right moment to make them into enemies.
I do remember him saying something of the sort.
And yet here we are, with a fat merchant ship to our lee, and us in the perfect position to swoop down on them with the wind at our backs.
Still not looking Kai in the eye, Shio walked back toward the solid pine beam of the Shimokage's tiller. The sailor operating it saw her coming and relinquished control with a short but respectful bow. The captain put her hands on the tiller, feeling the minute vibrations of the ship and the waves through the wood.
Hi, son. Did I ever tell you about growing up in the City of Lightning?
A few times, Captain.
When I was a child,
Shio continued,
my aunt brought home some sweet honey candies from her adventures to the south. Oh, how I wanted one. But my aunt insisted that they be saved for a special occasion. Think of how good they will taste, she would say, if you enjoy them at the perfect moment.
Shio leaned against the tiller, gazing at the horizon with unfocused eyes.
So one morning, I went into the kitchen and asked again for a candy. And when my aunt, bless her memory, began to lecture me on patience, I snatched one from the box and fled.
Her eyes snapped back down to meet Kai, and a broad grin split her face.
I don't know if that was the perfect moment, but it tasted pretty damn good to me.
Shio shoved hard on the tiller, and the Shimokage heeled over sharply, the square prow digging deep into the waves before breaking through the crest in a shower of blue-green spray. The wind caught the battered sails and filled them with a sudden crack. The great green Mantis Mon proudly emblazed on the straining canvas for all to see. The crew rose from their stations, eyes fixed upon their captain. The navigator shook his head, but the smile on his face matched his captain's. He raised his voice.
Sailors of the Shimokage, to arms! We have a prize to take.
Yeah! Woo! Let's do it!
All right.
Exciting.
That was really good, guys.
I think that the MVP there was clearly Monty.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, the boats.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the boats.
I had to not look or else I would laugh.
I was trying to avoid looking at Monty.
By the way, if anyone is interested in like actual readings of the L5R lore, the table is yours. Do a really great reading, sometimes dramatic readings of all the stories released up to the last leaf's fall. And they're all free. They're all you can download them anywhere. You can download podcasts like Apple, whatever.
So we figured out SAR's role. It's the ad. You're the ad reader.
Yeah.
In this audio drama.
The postscript ad. Yeah.
Yep.
Postscript ad, yeah.
For further. Yeah.
Uh,
Also, yeah.
How dare they attack the crab? First of all, how dare they attack the crab?
Aren't they like friends with the crab?
They are.
How dare they?
Actually, this actually okay. So here's the thing you got to understand about Mantis. Yes, Yoritomo is kind of like the big guy, but with any, they are still they still have the pirate mentality, and with any like loose confederation of pirates like that, you're always going to have independent agents, right? So this is an example of one of those independent agents. Also, you got notice that nobody here had a family name. No Mantis has a family name. They are Kai, Tamon, Shio, Yoritomo, Kudaka. No family name at all. Because the guy that they had a family name, they were the Gusai. They were given that after the founder of the Mantis clan held a knife to the emperor's throat and said, make me a clan or I'm going to cut your throat. To which the emperor said, okay, you're a clan. He takes the knife off and said, kill him. That's how the Mantis was founded.
Savage.
And yeah, so Gusai, the Mantis lost the name because one of the Mantis champion kidnapped the emperor's son, trying to blackmail them to make them a great clan. That didn't work out so well, so the emperor stripped them of the name. Now Mantises are actually known by their family is their ship's name. So like
that's kind of cool.
So
That is
yeah, so Mantis families, it's what's the like if I was on the USS O'Kane, I would be Czar of the USS O'Kane, kind of thing. I wouldn't be Czar Aegis. It'd be like that kind of thing.
I kind of like that, the whole chosen family thing.
I do like that.
I really like that. So, okay, so we aren't reading the core book. We're reading The Mantis Clan, rules for playing characters from the islands of Spice and Silk. I didn't read that. We're reading
drastically there.
We're reading The Mantis Clan. Sorry.
I'm listening to the Monkey Island soundtrack in the background.
Oh, God.
Go through this.
God.
Sar, can you explain why we're reading this? This was your idea.
Yes, because the Mantis is one reason why is the Mantis is such a big. As much as I hate them, and I hate them because of one simple thing, and that's range. But that's a whole other thing, and naval. But the Mantis is such a huge force in the CCG that there's no way I can't not talk about them in the FFG era. And the fact that FFG actually put this out kind of shows how important Mantis is to the whole general lore of L5R moving forward. Mantis will play into some of the biggest tide turners in Rokugani history. The
Technically
biggest one,
still a minor clan.
technically
But they're
still
a
a
minor
minor
one.
clan. They are a minor clan. How they I'm just going to share this because this is how Mantis was elevated to Great Clan in the old lore. On the second day of Thunder, when the entire army of Rokugan was ready to go up against Fulang, Yoritomo said, "I have my army, and they will attack you first and decimate your army, and you will have no hope of fighting against the Shadowlands horde. Or I can go ahead and turn my army around and join you if you make me a great clan." And
Okay.
if you want to, for my insolence, you can go ahead and cut my head off. If you do it before you make me a great clan, my people will go charge you right now.
Interesting.
That's
So
how
like bargaining chip there. And they were a great clan in 4th edition, right?
Yeah, they became a great clan very
Yeah.
early on, like at the end of by the time Scorpion Clan Coup came around, they were already a great clan.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
I'm excited here because that's a lot of really cool history. The opening kind of short story there was very short, obviously, but actually like very dense and like what was going on there. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, it said a lot about the Mantis clan. We know that they're kind of jockeying for power. They seem to be. They have a weird hierarchy as well. There doesn't seem to be centralized power here. I'm interested to see what they're going to do with this, whether they're going to play into that like hard pirate trope.
Yeah.
And
I would like to note too that the names appear to be jokes, perhaps.
Oh, that's cool. Really?
Because like Kai is like a seashell and Shio means salt.
Oh, that's cool.
In like really basic reading, depending on characters, but still it's like shell and salt.
Do you think this is one of those scenarios where they're trying to be like witty, or it's just like
I don't know.
let's type in what's a Japanese name?
I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt because I know there are a lot of consultants that did like consult for L5R 5th edition. I'm gonna give it to them and say, yeah, they did this on purpose. So good for them.
I'm just looking at the credits. No Monty.
That's what I was.
No Monty.
No Monty. But then I was gonna say, Daniel, I know you had a little bit of qualms with Island of Silk and Spice, and I think that's worthwhile. Just kind of, what's your
For
context?
me, it's more of like I don't have any. There's nothing wrong with Islands of Silk and Spice per se. Just those words. Those words aren't harmful, but it's what people do with them, right?
Sure.
Because that like pigeonholes you into like, oh, stereotypes about traders, and oh yes, look at all this exotic Asian silk, and oh, look at all of our spices. This is India. It can pigeonhole you into really harmful tropes. That's why I had that sort of reaction, like, oh, you didn't have to do that. It could have been more nuanced.
Yeah. I think for me, if I can go a little bit deeper into that, silk itself is a big signifier of Asian cultures.
And same with spice.
Same with spice. And, you know, there's a lot of history for silk and textiles and things like that. My partner, Yvonne, she's our history major. She actually taught me a little bit about how silk used to be imported into Roman settlements and how Rome would repurpose silk using their own processes and actually import them back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then it was like Roman silk, which is not a real thing. It was really silk from China, but just reprocessed. And like no one tells that story because it becomes much easier to digest when you just think of silk as like this Asian export, this Chinese export, or whatever export you want to use to signify it.
Or does it feed into Rome as not the great innovators, but the great improvers of things, like their religion?
Exactly. There's a lot to unpack in that.
Especially
But-
with Rome.
Especially. But that said, I definitely empathize with the idea that when someone says Island of Silk and Spice, my gut clenches a little bit. I find my feet being planted because I'm not quite sure what's going to come next.
I would have just said, like, for the subtitle, it could have done Mantis Clan, rules for playing characters from, or I would have said rules for playing as the boat lords of the, whatever the sea
Of
is
Rokugan.
called. Of Rokugan.
Yeah.
Boat lords of Rokugan. Naval commanders of Rokugan. Or something cool.
Yeah. Here's the other thing, really interesting thing about the Mantis clan. Keels, like normal traditional shipbuilding keels, like that long. That's considered gaijin. That's considered gaijin technology, and it's outlawed in Rokugan.
I don't know anything about boats, so
Well, the difference between like the sailing ships in, you know, China, Japan, and, you know, down in the Pacific Islands and compared to like Western boats are notable. Like they could make a whole
yeah.
thing.
They
like,
do. Most think
discrepancy there.
Asian ships. A lot of Asian ships are flat.
Mhm.
So this while it just sits on the water, it'll float fine. It sits on fine. You can't really build big ships. Too much. If it's too big, it'll just sink. Now, what a keel will do is instead of having a flat surface, you actually have like this this angle surface that just kind of pushes the water, and it just kind of forms like this part. It stabilizes the ship. It allows the ship to go faster. It allows the ship to be more maneuverable. The Mantis is the only fleet in Rokugan that actively utilizes keel technology.
please don't tell me that they got it from the unicorn.
No, they didn't. They
Okay.
actually they got it from by trading with the with people from the Ivory Kingdoms, and they sold a couple of ships.
There's a lot of trading stuff built into their
Yeah.
abilities, as we'll see.
Yeah,
So-
Do we want to read the?
So let's
the-
read. Let's start with the.
Yeah.
It looks like we should start with the red side text.
Yeah, so I'll give you guys a break because I know, as important as sound effects were, I have the energy here going.
Okay.
The Mantis clan. There are many minor clans in Rokugan, but perhaps the most famous, or certainly most infamous if you are a Crane Lands, are the Mantis. Players who wish to build a Mantis character can do so using the clans, families, and schools provided here. The Worldly Ronin School on page 87 of the core rulebook is also a good place for Mantis characters, especially one who joined the clan later in life. At the GM's discretion, a Mantis character could alternately study at a Great Clan school, or a character from a Great Clan school could fall in with these motley seafarers. As with any character extending beyond their teachings, the GM has final say over what's appropriate. I think that's some great guidance, some great guide rails there.
Yeah, I like the idea of just like they're telling you right off the bat, you can customize your character however you'd like.
Yep. So let's move into the Mantis Minor Clan. So the Mantis Minor Clan are a group of rugged sailors, having grown from a loose alliance of merchants, Ronin, and cast-off members of the Great Clans to a massive organization that operates along Rokugan's coastline. While the Crane clan has historically been one of the Mantis's major clients, recent political turmoil has pushed them apart, and the Mantis have sought allies elsewhere in the Empire. They sail from mainland ports to the Isles of Silk and Spice and beyond, and rival the Unicorn clan in their exposure to foreign cultures. Having risen from less than the Great Clans, they are not so quick to look down upon those of lower station. But humble origins do not quell the ambitions of their dashing and piratical leader. I think that's a word.
Is that a word?
I'm going to go with it. Piratical?
So,
Piratical?
Piratical.
I like it. Mantis clan champion, Yoritomo.
I like how they don't look down on people.
Yeah, the red sidebar text gets into their view on Bushido, which is pretty interesting. Also, like, I mean, I like this. I mentioned before when we were talking privately that like I like kind of the sea. I like ocean settings. I like island settings. Like, you know, I think Chrono Cross is an extremely underrated PS1 game. I think Final Fantasy X's island setting was amazing.
Pixelgrotto.tumblr.com.
Yeah, and I like pirates. I kind of am instantly attracted to that. Maybe it's because I'm like a Cancer and like a rising sign or whatever. But I do kind of like this description here.
Yeah. I wish there was a little bit more about like what this turmoil was. Political turmoil is basically nothing. Like,
That's just a prompt for the GM.
Yeah.
That's what happened is the tsunami that washed in Crane lands basically decimated their fields. The Crane used to be one of the richest clans in Rokugan. Now they're basically broke. They have to beg the Crane has to beg other clans to feed themselves, and the Mantis is straight up preying on the Crane right now.
So I interpreted that as like if you don't care about real Rokugan, like that's an opportunity for a GM just be like, okay, something happened. Let's work with it, and here's a campaign.
So there's where I kind of feel tension. Because in a game like this that's built in such a way, when you have a vagueness like that, generally, 99% of GMs are going to be like pretty dope about this. They're going to like, oh yeah, maybe a flood, maybe some other political turmoil, like some kind of divisive like political statement, blah, 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 blah. And then others are going to take this as an opportunity to put in, maybe without any malice, a very bad stereotype. So this is kind of where we get into I've mentioned this many times, but Mendes' article on the giant robot of offense, where you can build all these things, but if you don't complete the text, you've left open this idea that someone could take this to a con and use this to actually do some real harm to real people. Here's an example where I think a little bit more time would actually prevent quite a bit of harm potentially.
Right. I think, honestly, instead of saying recent political turmoils, I think if they said recent strife in Crane lands, which, one, would be a lot more accurate to the lore, and two, takes the politics out of it.
Yeah, I think even I personally would like more explicit, just like the Crane lands were going through a famine, and the Mantis clan took advantage of their like vulnerability.
Yeah.
That is completely removed, I think, from racial stereotypes and whatnot. It is still highly tense. There's a lot of stories.
But that's what happens during war.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And we've already. It seems that Yoritomo is a bit of a opportunist or a strategic.
Oh,
they're pirates.
He's
This could benefit from an explanation about him. Like we hear about their piratical leader. And perhaps that word piratical is meant to indicate that he is an opportunist. He is someone that will take advantage of a situation to elevate his own people. But we wouldn't know that if not for Sar. Once again, we get vague hints of it here. But yeah,
7 Koku. We should look at They know all about. Oh, they know a lot of different languages.
They know a
too.
lot about different places, more
Yeah.
so than most other
Yeah,
clans.
you're very worldly. Are they more
Yeah.
worldly than the unicorn?
They are. They are.
Yeah.
Because the unicorn, let's just sea travel is a little faster than land travel. Sea travel also, you are at the mercy of the winds, but land travel is you could travel you could cover more further distances with sea travel.
Yeah, I like how facts about life about lands accessible by sea, which is neat because like you're the thing that kind of baffled me about the unicorn clan last week was that like you are so worldly even though they've returned and you're just like any unicorn just knows all of this. It doesn't make sense, especially when they're living in Rokugan, because anything that they'd be learning would be secondhand knowledge at that point. But if you're a mantis, based on what we've read so far, you're actually traveling. You're actively interacting with other cultures, which I think is way better than the unicorn. I'm curious to see what Bushido means to the mantis.
Oh, I think you'll like that.
Yeah, I do like this.
So Daniel, take us away.
Okay. What does Bushido mean to your clan? The mantis believe that everyone must prove themselves. Higher station of birth carries certain benefits, but comes with an expectation that an individual will achieve greater heights to match. Even the lowliest member of the clan can advance if they serve exceptionally. Courage, holds a special place for the mantis. Most members have ancestors who were born as commoners or fell from grace. So, the mantis are more tolerant of foibles than other clans. The Bushido tenet of honor, Meo, is less important to members of the mantis clan.
I like the distinction between courage and honor.
Yeah, I like the way they've approached a clan's different take on Bushido here than they did with the Scorpion. Because like the Scorpion don't care about honor, they care about loyalty. But then they've just described the same thing.
Yeah.
I really like this.
I like how they just straight up said that, for reasons of, their clan, being composed of kind of an amalgamation of various peoples, they realize that different peoples have different capabilities. And therefore, it's like a sailor on a ship. Everyone has their own unique role to offer when you're sailing. And I feel like for, pirates and for people that live on the seas, they would care less about Bushido, like especially when you don't necessarily have lands at your disposal. You're on a boat, and the ocean is your home.
This description here makes the most sense out of all of the other ones. For this one, it's like you have to be brave because sailing a ship on the sea seems terrifying.
Yep.
Agreed.
Oh
Right,
yeah, I was in the Navy. I know it's terrifying.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know it's terrifying.
And we're talking about modern ships being scary. Think about historical ships.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, thank you.
Do we want to read the families of the fleet?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do it. So they start with 7 Koku, 36 Glory, and for complicated historical reasons, the Mantis do not have a family name. Its samurai all belong to the Mantis clan fleet, however, and so they take their names from the Kobune ships they sail with. Tsuraikaze no Kuraka, Kuraka of the Bitter Wind, or Suzano no Hitoshi, Hitoshi of the Suzano, or how they style themselves, changing their names as they sign on with different crews. Those mantis who stay on land are known by the port where they live, such as Kinushima no Miyaka or Tokigogachu no Toya.
That's cool. I like how here they very subtly said that not every single mantis is constantly sailing or is based on a ship. And so here's a way to name them. So they've told the players that, like, hey, you don't have to be on a ship the entire time. I think that's cool. And here's a way that you can, even if, say, you decided you wanted to go to like a unicorn school and you were a merchant or whatever, you would still have your individuality as a mantis because of your naming convention.
I think the fact that they use their ships for names is very personal and very beautiful in many ways. And I think Steve's probably going to elaborate upon that. I'm sure you noticed that too.
No. What I was going to add was that we saw this in a very recent piece of media, which was Mass Effect, because in Mass Effect, the flotilla I forget the name of the race. They're all also named after the ships that they live on because
Oh,
they don't have a homeland anymore for like in character reasons. They're basically nomads, and their real home, their homeland, their identity is rooted in their ship.
I should replay Mass Effect.
Okay.
I still feel a little burned by Mass Effect 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do we think of the armor?
I think it looks
like-
cool.
Yeah.
I kind of like it. They got like Batman spikes on the gloves.
I like the helmet. I want to know what more of the mask looks like because it's kind of hard to tell.
It's basically the Mantis.
It's
the Mantis Mall.
Yeah.
See if I could find a better picture.
I like their mom. Their
Yeah.
like logo with the little guy.
I really like
we
this
go.
one.
You know, we were talking about, you know, the other kind of insect clan, the scorpion clan, how that their armor is kind of weak sauce. Like, I feel like this is an example of like an insect-themed armor done well.
There is a third insect-based clan.
Oh, really?
There.
Oh,
and
the
I
spider
swear.
clan?
To, you said it.
Centipede? Centipede? Oh, sorry.
Spider.
Spider.
Spider Clan.
I hope to whatever deity you pray to that we never see them again.
I love spiders though.
I'm
I linked the
I grabbed it.
and let me see if I can find the ancestral armor of the Spider Clan.
And you can see the little flag behind them
Yeah.
too.
Hmm.
Oh, those are the sails.
Cool.
I like it. It's cool. I wish there was like it was like salt. There was like salt built up on the armor from being in the ocean. I think that'd be cool.
Maybe this is like a newly commissioned one that they
This is
made
the Champions
for
armor.
they
trade
put on
money.
the dock.
Yeah, they put on the
So
dock.
this is the ancestor. The armor is
Oh wow,
is ancestral. Yeah.
this is the spider
Dang.
armor.
This is the clan. This is the armor of the Spider Clan. We don't.
They're
talk about
not
spiders.
they're not in 5th edition, right?
They're not in 5th
Interesting.
edition.
All right, that's a different stream.
That's
I
a different stream. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But just since we were going through all the ancestral armor, this was the last one.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, awesome. So let's move on to the first school here with some great art at the bottom right. But let's take a look at the Stormfleet Sailor School, Huabushi. Life on the seas between and beyond the Isles of Silk and Spice has made the Mantis clan practical. Its sailors know most true fights do not take place in a dojo, but in wild ambushes and the rocking decks of the Kabune. A sailor must know when to push their luck and when to settle for what they have. Opportunists to the core. The warriors of the Mantis Stormfleet eschew no weapon, push every advantage, and yield only to the rolling sea.
Stormfleet.
Keep that line. Keep that. Mantis Stormfleet eschew no weapons. Literally anything they can use to fight with is a weapon. They literally will train Mantis children that if you have to fight, find something you can fight with. That's how they train their boosters.
I mean, this is where it's like really on theme and it feels distinct from everything else.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, they're like, most fights don't take place in a dojo with all your buddies.
Mm-hmm.
The theme I get here is I'm reminded a lot of Maxi from Soul Calibur, that kind of
Yeah.
Ryukyu Kingdom pirate type thing, which
Yeah.
I guess they're leaning into here.
It's
Yeah.
it's the shirt. It's the shirt. It's the
It's
open
the
shirt.
yeah, it's the open shirt actually.
Yeah.
They're
Also,
oh sorry, yeah, go ahead.
no.
Sorry.
I was gonna say like whereas all the other clans have ancestral swords, it's Mantis's ancestral weapon is Yoritomo's kama, Yoritomo's hand sickles.
Oh, that's cool.
I was going to
It's a
say
little
their
different.
school ability is interesting because these are the
Oh, yeah.
Bushi, but it's a purely trade social ability, and then their rank 6 ability is based on that trading skill that
It's almost like they're trying to encourage you to build a
Yeah.
character to be really good at certain roleplay aspects.
Hmm.
Because you're a
Oh
pirate.
yeah.
like they're Bushi, but their skills, their ultimates are not like any kind of martial
Getting
fighting
them
thing.
good deals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it a lot. Also, I'm very much into this idea that they are the clan of abs.
Yeah, everybody's saying like Steve's next cosplay.
There's a lot going on in that costume, y'all. There's a
So
lot
like
going
so
on.
like so
There
far
really is.
so far if we're making a new clan, I'd like it to be a shrimp, but now is it a shrimp with abs? And then we
It's the
adding new
mantis-
things? A mantis
The
shrimp.
mantis shrimp?
Ooh.
It's a mantis shrimp with abs.
So here's where I want to pause on this armor, or lack thereof, because having played with Mendez and the Thousand Arrows, which is an RPG, Powered by the Apocalypse, it's set in Warring States, Japan, and my first exposure to it was I got to play Captain Kukami, and I had a huge like fleet at my beck and call, and our specialty was swimming in full plate armor. Just like you have the full armor, and you just jumped off your ship and you swam to the other boat, and then climbed their ship, and then you were impervious to bullets at that point in time, and it was terrifying. I imagine we're not going to see anything like that. I've kind of read ahead. We're not going to see anything like that, but that was one of those moments where you just kind of like are in awe of history. And if you didn't know it was history, you'd be like, that's 100% made up. That's fiction. Yeah. I wanted to highlight that just because I feel like when we have these diverse writers and whatnot, we do get to see those really aha wow moments in history that then come to life inside of RPGs. I'm not making a statement here or there about L5R right now, but I am saying that is something that I was reminded of, and it's a beautiful thing, and I always think we should shine a light on it.
Yeah, it's always good to shout out the work of other Asian creators on this stream, because I mean that's what Asians Represent is all about. Cool. Shall we move on? We're for the audience. We're going for a little shorter stream today. Some of us have had really long weeks and are feeling a little burnt out. And we also have another stream tomorrow, so we're gonna go a little shorter today. Right, let's move to the next one. I can read this one. Stormfleet Tide Seer Shugenja. The Tenkinja. Is that a thing?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's basically I don't know if it's a real thing, but I know in L5R it's basically they specifically focuses on the movement of tides and winds.
Oh, okay, cool. The Tenkinja are priests of the tide, trained in the ways of reading the sea and appeasing the kami of wave and storm. These seers have served the Mantis clan for generations, and without their blessing, at the outset of a journey, even the most seasoned of Mantis sailors are uneasy to take to the open ocean. As with most Mantis traditions, the Tenkinja have no formal center of learning. Instead, training individual apprentices during their journeys and periodically congregating in the Isles of Silk and Spice to share their wisdom they have attained. They have a mastery ability called Storm Surge. When you perform an invocation that smites one or more targets, treat each target's supernatural resistance as one lower per kept, what's that?
Strife.
Per kept strife symbol on the check.
Basically lets you lightning bolt a whole bunch of people.
Whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think this is a good point of comparison to the Shugenja in the Oriental Adventures Handbook. Steve? So in Oriental Adventures, they talk about the Shugenja and how they're these like reclusive, wise Asian masters, and they like beat their students and they're super mean, and there's no real explanation as to like why they are so reclusive, other than they want to be one with nature and they're Asian druids. But this one is really interesting because, yeah, they don't have a temple like a cleric in D&D would. They are on the ocean with the rest of them. And so rather than being like these mysterious Asian masters who only take on one or two apprentices, it's a pragmatic thing because they're on a ship together and they congregate when they need to. This is a better way to do it.
One of my favorite scenes in a recent fiction, was literally Kudaka and her two apprentices. Kudaka was talking with Yasuki Oguri, a crab merchant, and off on the back was Kudaka's two apprentices. They were focused, but Kudaka was saying they wrote a line in there saying like how Yasuki noticed notices how the two apprentices were actually sweating, and they were straining at maintaining the wind for so long that to me that's like, okay, that's real magic, right? Because it's still you're still straining, you're expending energy. It's not like But at the same time, it's not like you cast a spell, then you fall to the ground completely exhausted. No, it's like this is actually showing that I'm maintaining a spell. These two people are maintaining a spell, and they're getting tired doing it.
Mm. Yeah.
So the only thing I have to add here, just kind of taking a segue here, is the art.
Yeah, I
And
was
I
going to
really-
say, what do you think of that?
I sent the link to that, by the way.
Oh, okay.
So this art, I really like.
I
don't know
love
about-
it.
I don't know about
love
you all,
this
but
art
I look
personally.
at this, and this to me is like a black coated person.
Yeah,
And-
they look mixed.
I love that. I
Yeah.
think that's great because despite the fact this is an Asian setting, it does not mean 100%. It does not mean fucking screaming from the back. It does not mean there are only Asian people in the setting.
And also, there are a lot of indigenous peoples who lived in the Pacific
Yes.
region who looked like this.
Yeah.
And they are often overlooked and ill-treated both in reality and in these sorts of fantasy games that like to pilfer bits and pieces from real world cultures, religions, so on and so forth.
I really like this piece. I
seeing
like the
this-
hair.
Yeah,
I
seeing
love
this
the
is
hair.
awesome.
Yeah, we should probably talk about like the Okinawans, and we've talked about the Ainu at length.
Yeah.
Emma, do you have anything you want to say? Do you want to?
It's the South isn't something I know as much, but I do know that it's super complicated because there are many islands stretching from like Kyushu to Taiwan, and they aren't all culturally the same. They aren't all historically the same. Even Okinawa is only one of the islands, and several of the other islands around it throughout time have felt like they were being pushed around by like Okinawa and
Right.
all of that. So not my expertise, but it's super complicated.
That's cool.
Complicated further by World War II
Yeah.
and Japan's acquisition of the region. But there is a lot of interesting stuff happening there with mixed race, Black, Japanese, Okinawan, or Nansei, like Southern Islands,
Right.
because of US occupation and other interactions through time. Like it's really, really cool. And I am slowly learning more, but do not feel expert enough to
And that's okay. Look, like I always say this. I think the best teachers are also the best learners. We have to constantly be willing to, listen, read, research, and get better. I also we also don't speak for all of Asia, so.
All right.
But I
Yeah.
think it's really important for us to, have these conversations about, culture and ethnicity in Japan and how it's not a homogenous country or chain of islands. Super important.
and the South Islands in particular, many throughout time would also say that they didn't and never wanted to be part of Japan. It really was like colonization and trading agreements and other things between China and Japan and other countries that really decided that they were part of Japan. And it's super complex history down there. So do some research.
Do some research. Look it up.
It's incredible.
Yeah, what a great piece of art. And I think, thanks, Monty, for sending it, because this looks way better than the PDF.
Or sorry, said it.
Sorry.
Oh,
Sorry, Monty was on the mind because of the boat. I was looking at the boat and the waves, and all I could think of is your pictures.
That was some high quality art that Monty gave us. To
Yeah.
start
I'm
off
real
with.
into
No,
it.
I understand.
Yeah.
I would
took
like to see
all
some
of,
high
like,
quality
5 minutes.
scans.
Monty, you gotta tweet that, and then we'll retweet it.
Yeah, don't worry. On our Discord, we have a screenshot of that.
Oh,
so you can
sweet.
put it There.
Excellent.
But that said, I think we're kind of at time here.
Well, let's try to.
I think we should maybe just scan quickly
We
through
should scan quickly
briefly their techniques and maybe the just page that has advantages and disadvantages on here. Because I looked at this earlier and it's all sea themed, and I think quite well done for being a succinct description of exactly what this clan
Yeah,
is.
so we
which is
haven't
something
talked
we've struggled
about-
with in the past.
Yeah, we haven't
determining
talked
what a
about
clan is.
We haven't talked about the techniques and advantages and disadvantages yet. So, if maybe for the next can we go 10 more minutes? How do we feel?
I think the only the only technique you really need to talk about is Osana was supposed, because
Yeah,
that
that's
is mad. I mean,
the
literally,
first one is
if
crazy.
you're a Mantis, you get this.
So wait, it
Alright.
says Mantis rank 3. Is that what does that mean?
Basically, you have to be at least at a rank 3 school.
Oh, okay.
In order for you to be able to get this ability, and you
It's like a
can
leveling
only
up
get
thing.
it. You can only get this ability if you're a Mantis.
So, like their fabled founder, members of the Mantis clan often boast of their future glory to strengthen their own resolve and drive their comrades to greater heights. Activation. Once per game session, as a support action, you may take a target number 2 command or performance fire check to boast of a deed you will attempt. Effects. If you succeed, increase your composure and your endurance by 3. This effect persists until the end of the scene or until you complete the deed of which you boasted. By the end of the scene, you will have, if you have not completed the deed, suffer 3 fatigue and 3 strife. If you succeed or fail after you perform this action, any other character in the scene who knows this technique may immediately perform it. What?
That's dope as hell. I
Oh,
think I do
that's
that
so
in real
dope.
life.
It's awesome. Like the
It's like, I'm gonna go
Wow.
climb this. I'm gonna go climb this mountain.
Let's
Yeah.
get down to business.
Pretty much.
Look, I love how it ties into the theme of like kind of boisterous pirates at sea
Mhm.
who will make crazy boasts and then be forced to do them, but then they'll rally, their people, whoever's on the
It's
boat with
literally
them to
like-
also do it.
Let's go. Like their ship, the mast has fallen and their boat is burning, and they're like, we gotta go. And you're just gonna like run and jump to another ship, and you do it. You're like, let's go. And everybody is also like, yeah, we could do it. And then, oh, that'd be so dope.
Yeah.
I love this. This is really cool. And we haven't talked about techniques yet. This is set a high bar.
This one-
I will say that a lot of other techniques in the book for the various schools, they're not as, I mean, all of these are sea themed and including their advantages and disadvantages. A lot of the other techniques for schools in the core book are not as, they don't feel as cohesive or as impressive.
You know
No,
what's,
I mean,
what
it's-
you know what this is way better than? Feats.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of things are
A
better.
lot of things are better than feats in D&D, but
Yeah.
oh man, this is real good.
One last thing I would ask you to scroll down to is to the very end.
The
Oh,
Is this
for
for
that?
Just for that image.
Rawr.
We were talking earlier, and I was just saying how much I really like the way they lay out the creatures, the NPCs.
Mhm.
I think it looks cool. I don't know what it means, but it looks really cool.
So
We'll
it's,
get there.
it's like your basic stat block. And
Yeah.
just, when a combat ensues in game, the creatures or opponents will also make rolls depending on the various rings, and that influences their attack approaches. And same goes
Right.
for your characters. And yeah, they are very beautiful looking.
It's very
stat
beautiful
blocks.
looking.
Well, the rings are probably the best best looking thing in this game.
There's something to be said about laying it out in such a way that conveys information in such a clear way to the person who's going to run it. We always say this, and I think D&D does a bad job of highlighting this. But the GM is also a player. They also have to really enjoy the text that is being consumed and then being used as the foundation of the play. This is a great example of how text can be used to convey information in a way that's very accessible to allow play to really flourish. I had a very cynical conversation a couple weeks back where we said that Dungeons and Dragons loves to bloat its text so it has more space on the shelf. Not because it's a better experience for the player. That is, of course, quite hyperbolic, but there is something to be said about the idea of making information as concise as possible and how that can have other ramifications during the publication process.
And if you want to see concise text, just read anything in the OSR. Literally anything in the OSR.
Did I, in our panel, did I talk about the article that I read about conceptual density in RPGs?
No.
Oh, I should have. It's the idea that no one wants to buy a fucking $50 book that just talks about the different goblin clans because that's boring.
We talked about that's like half of the AD&D library.
I know, and that's a problem. But what you can deliver in a paragraph of water spirits who are the result of pollution that is half a sentence I just said right now, and that's way more meaningful than 20 different goblin clans. I'll link that in chat, but I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm gonna stop talking. Thanks.
Okay.
You know, like reading through this, like I honestly really like the Mantis. I think I might like them just as much as Crab, if not more, because of the sea theme. My beef is that they're not in the core book, and I feel like they should be.
Well,
I wish they were in the core book. This is really cool.
And there are no supplementary adventures for me to draw upon. Like this material inspires me to write like my own like homebrew island campaign and have all the characters be Mantis, but I don't believe there's been any official 5th edition things.
There is a really in the GM screen for L5R. They included an adventure called Slow Tide Harbor.
And I played through that, and I did not like it that much, honestly.
Yeah. The only thing I can say is like that's the only thing I could set. That's the only setting I can think the Mantis would actually no. Yoritomo actually makes an appearance in an adventure called The Winter's Embrace.
Okay. I guess I just want to like. There's a lot here, and a lot can be done with like a supplement all about the quote unquote lands of silk and spice. Like I do want to know more about the Mantis after having tasted this.
I feel like if they took out the silk and spice thing, I know that's a part of the lore, but like I really liked the Mantis clan. I mean, I'm still Crab clan, but I would love to play a member of the Crab clan who's like, I'm on a boat with all these Mantis clan like sailors that are just like, what am I doing here? No, where's all the stone? Everything is wood.
I'm about to make Daniel. Daniel, I'm about to make your day. I think.
Okay.
The founder of the Mantis clan was the son of the Crab clan champion.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, and the fact that they come from all of the clans, it's kind of endless possibilities.
Yeah, I think
Crabs
I
at
think
sea.
crabs at sea. I think there's just a lot of cool stuff that you can do here. I'm really excited now for us to get into like techniques because this Osanuwo's boast is just so cool.
Yeah.
It's like I want to lift this thing and you lift it and then everybody else is starting to do that too. Or like there's like an avalanche, not like the one in the Mulan movie. I know you were thinking it. But say there's an avalanche and you're like, I'm going to go dig out all these people. And you go and you're starting to do it and then everybody else feels inspired to do the same heroic deed. How cool would that be?
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of potential here for something that's like really narratively interesting.
Yeah.
I'm also excited for techniques, and the reason is because when we did spells and other abilities in Oriental Adventures, we had to talk about the colonization of magic and supernatural abilities, and how Asians generally had cruel and less effective magic than Western people. And luckily for L5R, there is no us versus them built in so overtly. So I actually don't have to worry about examining that necessarily. And I'm actually pretty excited about that because I don't want to talk about that anymore.
And that honestly is one of the things that immediately makes L5R better.
Yeah.
Immediately.
The fact we didn't have a forward that was just like, hey, we wrote you a book for the others. We got you.
We got you. The other half of the world.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, like when I started playing L5R with my friends, I like to make jokes that like, okay, Rokugan is Rokugan. Like John Wick's 7th Sea is just the other side of the world. And I know that's not the case, but I feel like you could do a mega campaign where it's like, okay, the Mantis clan are going to sail really far for some reason and then just bring in all these characters from 7th Sea.
Somewhere in my condo, I have one of the original 7th Sea maps.
Because I know the equivalent of like Europe in L5R universe is kind of like what they did with 7th Sea in some ways.
Here's the thing. You're not that off.
Yeah,
because
okay.
I'm not kidding. They actually AEG actually came out with a game called Legend of the Burning Sands.
Ooh.
Oh.
Okay.
In which there was a character named the Selket, who was Bayushi Kachiko.
Wow.
So
I just found a PDF.
Not that much of a stretch.
So they were trying to make like basically
a giant world with like 4 or 5 games.
It was basically like the John Wick cinematic universe.
The John Wick cinematic.
They were basically.
I'm gonna send this to the Critical Read Al Qadim folks.
Interesting.
Very nice.
Interesting.
But while you do that, I think we've kind of covered what we want to talk about here. Unless we want to talk about the art, but otherwise,
Yeah, so we're gonna make this a shorter stream just because we've got. I think some of us just need to recover, myself included. D&D celebration was a lot, and just work and life and COVID and America being crazy.
Yeah.
3 of us are in
God.
Canada, right? Yeah. So, couple of things in closing. I'll say it from like the Asians Represent side. Tomorrow at 2 p.m. we are streaming Dungeons and Asians. This is episode 9 of Dungeons and Asians. It feels like we've put out so few episodes of Asians Represent, but we've put out like so much. But it's episode 9 of Dungeons and Asians. We're doing our hot spring episode. It's going to be great. We're going to talk about. We're literally, and we didn't even plan this, Steve, but we're literally doing everything that we talked about in the D&D celebration panel. This is literally a food episode.
Nice.
no, I have been hesitant to post anything about it because I'm waiting for you to like break the ice here.
Do it. Go
But
for it.
I'm so excited for us to just talk about food and drink. There's like a lot to be said about the things that people consume, both for sustenance and for pleasure, and often for both.
I've got just
so
like the dopest thing planned for everyone. It's going to be so great. But yeah, so tomorrow 2 p.m. Eastern on this channel, we're going to be streaming Dungeons and Asians, our Quest RPG actual play sponsored by Roll20, live at 2 p.m. until 4 p.m. So the best way to make sure you catch us live is to follow. So follow, subscribe. You'll know when we're going to go live on Twitch. This will, of course, also be broadcasted onto YouTube about a week later, and our podcast feed as well. So every episode of Asians Read Caricature and every Dungeons and Asians stream from this channel are also on our podcast feed. Anything else? Oh, yes. I completely forgot to say this again. If you are in Europe, Dungeons and Dragons Annual 2021 Asian characters. An Asian show is on page 72 of this officially licensed D&D book.
It's the first on the list of
It's the first on the list. Yeah, which is crazy.
Y'all are canon.
We're canon.
Yeah.
It's pretty insane.
You're in the material plane. Like you're part of the multiverse.
You know what I should do? Maybe we should do a giveaway for one of these.
Yeah.
Extras. We'll do that. We'll do another charity stream.
Yeah, I like that a
Because
lot.
I don't want to just do a giveaway. We're gonna do a charity stream. That being said, you can pre-order that on Amazon.co.uk. It comes out on October 29th, the day after my birthday. So you can get yourself a copy of D&D Annual 2021 if you're in Europe. We will eventually do a giveaway for that during a charity stream. We need to find a charity. Does anybody else? Sorry.
Someone in the chat was just like, Elminster could now plane shift and visit your campaign. Oh, God.
Oh, God. I mean, Ed Greenwood does live in Southern Ontario.
Yeah, I was gonna say Ed Greenwood can plane shift to Toronto. We can have a beer, but
Ed Greenwood is not to go outside. He is old. He is at risk.
yes,
Very responsible of us. Very good.
Very responsible of us. I mean, I haven't seen Steve or Emma in person in so long, and we live in the same city, and it hurts me. But Steve, I have a care package for you, so I gotta give you some stuff.
Oh,
See,
boy.
every time you say that, almost like every week you have more stuff for Steve. So like at this point, I'm thinking you're gonna roll up to Steve's house in like a U-Haul.
Well, I'm gonna roll up to Steve's house with this exclusive Rime of the Frost Maiden tote bag that they gave us.
What?
Oh, I did. Okay, hold up. I'll go get it.
really?
Be right back. Be right back.
What the
I'll show you.
There's more.
Start talking about other things.
I started running Rime of the Frost Maiden the other day, actually.
I'm very excited. I got invited to a D&D stream, which will be actually on the Wizards of the Coast actual channel for Twitch. I'll be a guest player on a Rime of the Frost Maiden
Okay, so
adventure. It's
I've
great.
got this beautiful Rime of the Frost
Oh, with
Maiden.
the Hydro 74 art on it. Nice.
Okay, I've got that, and then in this tote bag, I've got a Steven care package. I've got a D&D dice bag
Oh my god.
with a exclusive, beautiful set of amber-colored dice.
Trying to bribe you guys.
My house is just full of free stuff that people send me. I've got a map of the Icewind Dale printed on like a scarf.
What?
Yeah, they gave that out. I saw a few.
I've got a
I
Rime of
noticed
the
that on
Frost Maiden
Twitter.
notebook.
That's dope.
It's gridded as well.
It's gridded.
I've got an
I love
official.
notebooks.
I've got an official
too.
D&D pop socket. It's just the ampersand.
Yeah.
I've got a copy of Quest for you that I put in a Ziploc bag with your Any and your Dungeons and Asians stickers.
Oh my goodness.
And then I'll just take this copy of D&D Annual and I'll stick that in here for you, Steve.
Oh my
Christmas
God.
for Steve.
I know, right?
Oh, and then there's a
That's
and
just my
then,
jealous face.
oh, and then there's a free product disclosure policy that Wizard sent me, and I put that in there for you.
Give him the
Oh,
best gift
excellent.
of all.
That's the best part.
Best
yeah.
gift of all. How to hashtag this and everything. So
For what it's worth, Rime of the Frost Maiden is. I've been reading through it. It seems pretty good.
I think they're
compared
sending
to-
me some copies too, so I might have one for you too, Steve.
compared to their last few books, which had some problems.
I will
So-
I'll be happy to read it and give comments, but for now,
Yeah. This is not for them. So yeah, tomorrow, see how Asian people tell fantasy stories. Dungeons and Asians live 2 p.m. Eastern this channel. Any of you have anything else that you want to shout out? Other than
Read
like, I want to
about-
just give kudos to Monty's boats. Can you show them again, Monty?
Yeah, more
There we
boats.
go.
Oh,
Yeah,
more boats.
there we go.
But also, you
Yeah.
drew. Did you draw a crab and then a mantis
You
on the
drew a
flags?
crab out-
This is kind of a mantis. It's hard to see.
Yeah, his little
No, it's a
hands.
mantis.
And that's a
Mantis.
crab. You got-
That's a crab.
Oh, nice.
So
Perfect.
shout out to Monty. Jeremy, writer extraordinaire, wrote an incredible article in the HuffPo about D&D Celebration.
Yeah, it's called Dungeons and Dragons panel offers advice on representing Asian cultures, and so obviously I got the chance to talk with the panelists, Steve and Daniel, but also a lot of other people who I actually have not gotten a chance to interact with before, and they gave me really in-depth answers, and I wasn't able to use all of it. But once again, if you missed the panel that all these good folks were on, it's worth taking a look. And
We should also
reading
share
about
the
their
link to
thoughts.
that as well. We'll put that in the YouTube description and then,
Yeah.
of course, our Twitch chat.
Yeah.
I feel like I was going to say one more thing about Asians represent.
You guys are awesome.
Oh, you're awesome. You're all awesome. Oh, yes. Our Discord. Drew, one of our amazing mods on the Discord and one of our amazing Twitch mods, is going to share a link. There should be, I think, a couple of invites left on it. We capped it at 50 because we were like, we got 2 new mods. We're going to add 50 more people. So if you aren't on our Discord and you would like to, there's the link right there. Rise Elk. That's Drew. Drew's an amazing human being. And we're super grateful to have you on our team, Drew. You're great. I hope that one day we can all just get together somewhere in, maybe not America, but you're in America, somewhere at a con and share a meal. That's the most Asian thing I've ever said.
The most beautiful thing, yes.
Yeah. That being said, folks, take care of yourselves, spend some time with your loved ones, stay safe. And yeah, we'll see you tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern. Bye, everyone.